Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Global Money Week webinar special brought to you by FPSB India. I'm Sanya Chavan, your host for today's insightful discussion. As the member and student engagement manager at FPSB India, it gives me immense pleasure to address you all here. Today, we gather to celebrate the Global Money Week, a global campaign dedicated to fostering financial literacy among our youth. This week serves as a reminder of the pivotal role financial education plays in shaping a secure and prosperous future for generations to come. Now, let me introduce our esteemed panelists who will be guiding us through today's discussion. Our first panelist is Mr. Ritesh Sabharwal, a certified financial planner and currently serving as the AVP Valuations at WIPRO Center of Excellence. With over 16 years of experience in the financial services space, Ritesh has become a trusted expert in financial planning. His dedication to empowering individuals with financial knowledge shines through his workshops, webinars, and training sessions. And joining Ritesh is Mr. Suresh Sadagopan, another distinguished CFP professional and registered investment advisor. Suresh holds the position of MD and Principal Officer at Ladder7 Wealth Planners Pvt. Limited. Renowned for his versatile roles in the financial industry, Suresh brings a vast reservoir of knowledge and experience to our panel today. He's also the author of the book titled If God Was Your Financial Planner. And last but not the least, we have our very own moderator, Alok Kumar, Vice President of Education Partnerships and Operations at FPSB India. So Alok will be steering our discussion today, ensuring that we glean valuable insights into financial foundations for our youth. Today's session is not just a learning opportunity, it's a step towards global well-being as we aim to equip young individuals, parents, and educators with the tools and knowledge necessary for making informed financial decisions. So without further ado, let's dive into our discussion on financial foundations for the youth, how early financial awareness sets you ahead. Over to you, Alok.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanya. And thank you, Ritesh and Suresh, for joining us here. So good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome once again to all our participants who have tuned to this Global Money Week special webinar. Let me take a minute, before we begin, let me take a minute to highlight about the Global Money Week, the 12th edition of which is taking place throughout the world this week. So Global Money Week is celebrated under the aegis of OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, based in France. And if I may quote, their website, so which says that Global Money Week is an annual global awareness raising campaign on the importance of ensuring that young people from an early age are financially aware and are gradually acquiring the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors necessary to make sound financial decisions and ultimately achieve financial well-being. So starting from the year 2012, throughout its 11 editions, Global Money Week has reached over 60 million children and young people in about 176 countries. Wow, that is simply amazing, isn't it? So with this background, both the guest speakers of today suggested that it will be ideal for us to have our discussions on this very important subject, which is the financial literacy for our youth. And so, friends, that is how we got the theme of today's webinar, which is financial foundations for youth and how early financial awareness sets us ahead. So thank you all once again for joining the webinar. Let me start the conversations with you, Ritesh, and I'm happy to come to you first. As you have worked extensively with the masses through your workshops, in your opinion, what is the understanding of the youth of concepts and words such as financial literacy, financial planning, and all these subjects? I mean, what is your understanding? You have done some extensive work through your classes and through your workshops and all.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that, thanks, Anya and Alok. I think this is a very important topic and something that I'm, very excited to be a part of. Like you rightly mentioned, I think, especially during my workshops and a lot of trainings that I've conducted in the past as well, while a lot of people know that, you need to save, you need to do SIPs, you need to have a goal, but I think there is a overall sort of lack of awareness as such, in terms of, for example, a lot of people don't understand what do you mean by return, what do you mean by risk. So I see a lot of examples where people will just open some of their accounts and think that, I'm making 100% return or 80% return, but they forget to understand the time period. That's called absolute return. But when you look at, you put 1 lakh rupees and you made 2 lakh rupees, let's say in 5 years, yeah, you doubled your money, but your compounded annual growth rate is, let's say, about 14 and a half to 15%. So a lot of times, I think the awareness of what I'm actually getting into and why I'm actually doing this investment is unclear. So it's almost sometimes that it's an aimless investing, specifically because there are a lot of influencers, there's a lot of things happening, on the social media, etc. So a lot of times people don't understand that, if I should look at investing in equity or should I look at investing in debt. And there's a lot of influence that your friend, your relative, someone will tell you, I think this is the best investment, go for it. So I think that's where I would start, that in terms of actually putting down a goal and then trying to look at, where you need to invest. So that's something that I found a little bit like a missing piece.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Ritesh, for that. Yeah, I mean, and I noted from what you said, like, what am I getting into, and why am I getting into that? So that's a very important question. So those are some very important starting points of today's conversation. I'll come back to you with more thoughts on that. And meanwhile, Suresh, uh, do you think that the current economic profile of India and the rise in wealth of the citizens over the previous decade or so, I mean, should it be a good reason for people to improve their understanding and knowledge of the subject? I mean, people are getting wealthier with more and more disposable income, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'll just step back a bit and answer your question also. I mean, after this, uh, if you are, I mean, the country, of course, is on a growth trajectory. So that is unmissable today. So that is very much there, and many more people have to pay more close attention to their money. So the middle class is becoming actually a wealthier middle class today. But what I would say is, if you have slightly less money, it does not mean that you should pay less attention. In fact, if you have slightly less money as compared to what it is today, you need to pay more attention, because the amount of risk that you can take with that money, I mean, the amount of risk that you can bear is actually low. So if you have, let us say, 10 crores, and if you lose 1 crore, it doesn't matter. 10% doesn't matter. If you have all of, say, 40 lakhs and you lose 4 lakhs, it actually matters a lot, even though both are 10%. So the point is now, it is not that people need financial literacy today than ever before. It is true. I agree with that. People require solid advice today than ever before. I mean, I would put it that way. Financial literacy, in my opinion, was required all the time. Because like Ritesh was saying, I mean, the basics are not really understood. That is where financial literacy actually comes into the picture. A lot of people tend to think that, I mean, finances means products and finances means returns. I mean, that is as far as it can be from the truth. Because finances is not about product. Like Ritesh also mentioned, you should know what your goals are. I mean, if you need to know where you want to go. If you don't even know where you want to go, any road will lead you there, right? And most of the people are thinking that, okay, fine, if I buy one pension product, one children product, and one this product and that product, I'm through, I'm done. Life is not going to be as simple as that. So now coming to the point which you just now mentioned, see, India is becoming wealthy. If you look at the statistics, the number of people who are dollar millionaires today, I mean, I'm talking about slightly dated data. So 2022 data, it is about some 8 lakh people in India today are about 8 lakh, sorry, about dollar millionaires, which is about 8 crores plus. And in about 5 years, in about 27 or 28, it is expected to double to 16.5 lakhs. So that's a significant amount of wealth which is getting created in the country. So people will have to pay very close attention, because even a 1% error in that or a 2% error in that will mean tens of lakhs of rupees. So people will have to be aware about their finances, aware about what they need to do, where they want to go, and more than ever before. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people who are probably CFPs here and who want to be in the advisory. I think this is a golden time for advisors like us, because people require advice. I mean, when you have 20 lakhs, you don't probably require advice. You can you can actually do it yourself. If you have 10 crores or 15 crores, you definitely require advice. But again, I'll flip my own argument. If you have all of 20 lakhs or 50 lakhs, the margin for error is also less. So in that sense also, you probably in a sense require advice, or you have to be careful. You have to be financially literate. So I'll close this argument saying that whichever way you look at it, you need to be financially aware and literate. Otherwise, it's going to be a very difficult path for wherever you are in the wealth spectrum.
True, true. I mean, yeah, very right. Actually, if you only have so much, I think, I mean, the need and requirement for financial literacy having financial savvy being is very important. It's very critical. Quite, there is absolutely no doubt about that, and I agree with you on that. And Ritesh, do you have any additional thoughts on that?
No, I think I completely agree with what Suresh mentioned. And again, like, Warren Buffett had once, said that risk comes from not knowing, what you're doing. So that's the specific part. So then you learn from your mistakes. So I think, completely agree with what Suresh mentioned.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thanks. So, taking some cues from, Ritesh, our first conversation, about the current levels of financial literacy in the population in general, including the youth. I mean, since financial literacy and financial planning is not merely confined to, investments or stock and all those things, then how about the understanding of concepts such as return versus risk and compounding, discounting, diversification to different asset classes? I mean, you did mention a few points there in the first thought, but how about the understanding of these concepts in the masses? I mean, especially in the youth of today, when people are more literate, so to say.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I think let's take an example. Pre-COVID, there were about, let's say, 3.5 crore demat accounts. And post-COVID, now we have about, I think, 13-14 crore demat accounts, last I was reading. And a lot of the youth has not really seen any downturn in the markets, or they've only seen upside mostly. And a lot of them got influenced when, obviously post-COVID, you made 70, 80, 90% returns. So their assumption of what is reasonable return is very skewed. So, if you look at the long-term averages of the market, probably between 12 and 13% as a CAGR. Now, so everything in an Excel sheet looks amazing, okay? Because you can put anything in an Excel sheet and, you'll think that you'll get 10, 20, 40 crores.
Yeah.
But if you're overestimating your return assumption, then automatically you're not looking at reality, because you've never looked at a downturn or any sort of event that's come into play, right? If you look at diversification, another example wherein, recently, I think the SEBI chairperson also mentioned that, let's say there's a sort of a bubble in small cap, sort of mid cap space. But everybody was getting, involved in that. And, I've seen people investing just because the next person is investing, or, someone has made 70, 80%. But if you look at the last 10 years, not every year, a different asset class is on top, whether it's small cap or large cap or debt or, gold or real estate. So if someone doesn't know where their overall rupees 100 is kept, then that's a problem. They should know what is their, if they have 100 is just a number, it could be 10 lakhs, 1 crore. Where is their money kept and how do they review their portfolio? Not because it's just gone up or down, but based on their financial goals. So, and that is what will determine that when they need to take out the money, when they should invest more. So diversification comes into play there. So if you have over allocated to, let's say, debt, then obviously you will make slightly lesser return and it will take you longer to increase your corpus. But then again, it depends on what's your risk taking ability and your, risk tolerance. The market now goes down by 15%. Will you pause your SIPs? Will you withdraw your funds. You have to look at it individually, and which is why it's called personal finance. Because what, let's say, Suresh wants to do, or Alok, you want to do, I can't copy paste the portfolio directly, because your goals and objectives are completely different and mine are different. So I think this is where all these 3 or 4 concepts come into play, where people must definitely understand this, become aware, and then go ahead and make their investment choices.
Can I add something, Alok, if you don't mind?
Yes, please, Suresh. Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I just want to add something to what Ritesh mentioned. See, financial planning is about creating a financial architecture to meet the personal goals and requirements of the family, not the person. It's the aspirations of the family which need to be met, and the aspirations are going to be over a lifetime. So there are certain aspirations pertaining to children, pertaining to the family, and there are certain aspirations pertaining to the couple. If they are married, pertaining to the couple, and after retirement, they have whatever goals are coming up. So it is not about product, it is not about return. As financial advisors, what we talk about is we should take an appropriate, appropriate. We should build an appropriate portfolio which is suitable for your needs, which is appropriate to your risk profile, and it has to have a proper liquidity, tenure, and other requirements appropriate to when your goals are coming. So, return does not actually figure here. I am the first one to admit that returns are important to achieve the goals. But return is not the predominant consideration when we are actually putting together a financial architecture. The important thing that we keep on emphasizing is that the financial architecture for each one is different. Like when we have a house, when we want to build a house on a piece of land, we go to an architect and we say, what kind of a house do we want? How many people are going to live? Is it a single story structure, multi-story structure, and things like that. And then they come with a draft plan, and then finally, after discussion, then the final blueprint is there. Once the blueprint is there, any civil contractor will be able to put up that structure for you, and it will come out right. So similarly, a plan is what is really required, and the plan has to be absolutely customized for that particular individual and their family. So that's very, very important.
Perfect. For Suresh, that's a lovely example, relating it with the construction of a house and so on. So, and even, I would say as a parent, we can relate it with our children. One is like there are always two sides to it. One is like the urge and need for instant gratification, which is like buying some gadgets, going on vacations, going on parties, and spending some money and all those things. And then on the other side, this is like there's a minimum understanding of finance as a basic subject. So what is, as Ritesh also mentioned, whether it is absolute return I am getting, or is it a CAGR I am getting, whether it is, whether the inflation has been taken care of or not. So all these things are, kind of two different sides to which are available to me, when I take my financial decisions. So, Suresh, when we say, that early financial awareness sets one ahead, then how critical is it, for us to understand the subject early, and how does time play a differentiator here? People are constantly hearing about, SIP, magic of compounding, and so on. And if we can relate this, if you can relate this with an example for the better understanding of our audience here, that should be great.
So I think if you are talking about financial literacy and knowledge, I think it is available out there in plenty. If you go, there are so many websites, there are so many calculators which are available. If somebody, and there are so many YouTube and so many other classes which are available for free. And people like you, all over the world are promoting the concept of financial literacy. So the material is available of plenty. So a lot of people are not really, they are averse to finances. So, that's the reality today, and we have to acknowledge that. It's absolutely fine if you don't want to become a wizard as far as your finances are concerned. That's absolutely fine. A passing acquaintance and a knowledge and a basic level of financial literacy is absolutely necessary. As much as we know something about, for example, about the field of, let us say, health and wellness. Okay, we will have some level of knowledge about that. We are not a doctor. So similarly, in the case of finances also, we should have a basic level awareness. Like, I mean, interest means over what period? Tenure means, I mean, what is the period for which product will work? The benefits of compounding, that will happen over a period of time. This is not very difficult for anybody to understand. You need not say, I am not a finance person, I don't understand all this. While very, very educated people, and some of them unfortunately are even from finance, they also say that I don't understand all these concepts which you people keep talking about. So coming to your point, I mean, it's very, very important for us to understand the basic concepts enough to take care of your life. I'll tell you the few basics which are required. So one of the things which you need to know is liquidity and contingency. You just have to prepare basic bedrock of liquidity and contingency, which is roughly about 3 months or to 6 months of liquidity. That much is required. You should know enough about finances to know that if you are going to take at the drop of the hat loans for everything, you are going to be in a hard place very shortly. You should know that. So the very basic thing, I think our grandfathers and fathers must have talked about this a long time. I mean, you first earn the money and then you spend the money. It's very simple. So instead of actually taking a loan for a 50,000 product and then paying us an EMI, you first accumulate 50,000, delayed gratification. You do that later, slightly later, if you are going to do that. So these are basics as far as finances are concerned. And today, the most important thing which we generally see is that people are not really looking at how much they have at all, or even whether they have the ability to service that. And it's not a question of income being a problem. Income is not a problem in many cases. So the basics of how much do I have, the budgeting. So basics of how much am I getting, how much am I spending, and if I overspend, I mean, it is not that the ATM is giving you money all the time, or the plastic card is going to provide you indefinite money. It is going to catch up at some point in time. So these are all extremely basic things. And we find a lot of very, very intelligent people, otherwise very intelligent people, getting stuck in all these things. So I think the willingness has to come in. It is not about how difficult finance field is or anything like that. The willingness has to be there. You have to spend maybe 10-15 minutes or half an hour once in a while to understand the basic concepts. And there are always a lot of people who will give advice for a fee or advice for free also. So there are good people who give advice for free. You should access them.
And if I can just
Well,
add, Alok, if I may
yeah,
just add, I think I completely agree with what Suresh mentioned, and especially on this budgeting aspect. A lot of times people look at it on social media, etc., where they get upset sometimes that, oh, everything I should just put in an SIP. When will I live my life, and when will I actually? So when someone asks me, for example, is like a Starbucks 300 rupees coffee worth it? I can't answer that question, because now it depends on your priority. Like Suresh mentioned, you have to know that how much are you spending overall. So you may spend on that Starbucks 300 rupees coffee every day maybe, but you're now not spending somewhere else, and your overall spending based on your income is still intact. And that's where it leads to, let's say you earn 1 lakh and you're spending 60,000, okay, for your needs and your wants. Now you have 40. Now, is 40 good or bad? That 50-30-20 rule, like they say, it doesn't apply all the time. Now 40 is good or bad would depend on you and your goals. Maybe you need to actually save 60, or maybe you need to save 20. But if you don't know, then you're just following the next person, and like he rightly mentioned, then the plastic card comes into play, that you don't even own that money. So like they say, pay yourself first. So whether you're doing an SIP, or when someone gets a bonus, I would say take 60-70% and just put it outside your account. If you can't see it, then that urge to spend it goes away. And when you start early, I mean, there could be hundreds of examples that if you start an SIP for 10,000 this age and all of that, you'll always make money in terms of, and when you do that, and especially like a step up SIP. And I hear that, so when your spending goes up, you bought something for, let's say, 30,000, as an example, a TV 5 years back. You still buy the next version of the TV at a higher cost, but you don't increase your SIP accordingly. So you're not stepping up your investments in the same way that you're stepping up your expenses. So that creeps into lifestyle inflation as well. So you don't keep up. So I think that's something that everyone should also, remember. There's no one size fits all solution, but yeah, if you're aware, then you'll know what to do and where to prioritize.
Precisely. Actually, that was my next question. That was supposed to be the next question. I mean, that what are those small things which actually constitute financial planning and are so very important for us as a common individual. So I mean that 80-20 rule or maybe
Yeah.
50-70-30 rules or those things. I mean, which are those things? I mean, which you both as a very veteran fee-based practice oriented financial planners, I mean, you would suggest that we should take as an individual, as a commoner, we should keep in mind to take care of our hard-earned money.
You're
Suresh?
asking me.
Suresh, maybe both of you. I mean,
Yeah,
you
sure.
guys are the people who are, advising clients.
Sure. So the first one is, I mean, even for a person who is just about starting the career, I would say liquidity and contingency is the most important thing. In fact, a lot of people actually get into trouble because they don't have any actual spare cash with them at any point in time. When you are young and you have started working, you are seeing money for the first time. Till that time, I mean, it has been through the parents, right? So it's but natural, and they should spend on things which are important for them at that point in life. So no quibbling on that. But the only point is they should first create a certain liquidity, because at the very young age, typically what happens is there are multiple goals which come up. They want their phone, they want to go for a vacation, they want to gift somebody something, think like that come. They want to have I mean, birthday party, and so on and so forth. There can be multiple things. Now, if they do not have a cash chest by the side, they are going to swiftly go into a personal loan, credit card loan, all those kinds of uh, paths, which is absolutely unnecessary. So the liquidity, the basic hygiene factor is the liquidity margin, which you have to keep at any point in time. The other reason why
All these loans are very easily available these days. You have all kinds of EMIs running into your credit card, so that really facilitates all this.
Correct. So what I'm saying is, apart from the fact that, okay, you may want to move from job A to job B, and when you are moving from job A to job B, there could also be a point where there can be a sabbatical. So you should be able to take care of those kind of things. And suddenly the expenses may spike. I mean, being at the stage where you are very young, and the expenses may spike. So the liquidity is very important. The other portion is the contingency. I mean, contingencies can be in terms of, like I said, I mean, you're taking a sabbatical and you are not anticipating that, or you have to maybe give some money to the family for some reason and things like that. So that is very important. The other thing which I would say is, early on, don't get into the loan trap to start with. So in fact, what Ritesh said was also another thing which we also say. I mean, first you decide on a certain amount that you want to save. The very basic absolute bare minimum, which I would say, is 10%. I mean, for very young people who are at the start of the career earning a low amount of money, 10% is fine, but at least the 10% should be put away before you start spending. And it should be immediately, I mean, as soon as possible, it should be ramped up to 30% or more over a period of time. So this is important. And anything that you want to spend, first accumulate and then spend. The other thing, very easy and important thing is that, I mean, if you have multiple goals, identify which one you want first, which one you want second, and it will have to come over a period of time. It cannot all come at one point in time. So you prioritize and you space it out. So that is very important. The other one is, don't ever ignore medical situations. The medical insurance is very important. Life insurance, probably, if you do not have a education loan or any other commitment, life insurance can come at a later point in time. But medical insurance is absolutely required. One may tend to think that we are very young and we don't require medical insurance, but I mean, illnesses in the body, I mean, don't give you a notice before they come. And suddenly, I mean, for no reason, you may get admitted to a hospital for a few days, and it may not be anything major, but hospital bills are always major. So the point is, now you'll be spending from your pocket. So be very careful about that particular aspect. And something which Ritesh mentioned before, have your own plan. you don't have to cut paste copy what your friend is doing, what your brother-in-law is doing, or what somebody else, your colleague is doing. That is their life. That is what is suitable for them. You have to figure out what is suitable for you. I mean, again, there is enough material today to show, I mean, how you need to invest. Very basic, what I would say is that anything that you want to invest for the long term, you put it in equity. Anything that you require in the next maybe 1 to 2 years, 3 years, you put it in debt oriented or fixed income kind of securities. These are very basic stuff which I'm saying, in which we follow in financial planning. If you do these kind of basic stuff itself, you will be in a very good place.
Wow, Suresh, I think those are golden words coming from, a rich 20 plus years of experience. And maybe what I hear from you is like you are saying that, one should differentiate between a need and a want and then proceed accordingly. I mean, and that principle, holds across your financial life cycle, across your other, life cycle. Ritesh, some other points from your side. I mean, some more tips from your side, if you would like to add what Suresh just gave.
I think, yeah, Suresh covered, a lot of the aspects, but I think maybe, uh, ignoring inflation, for example, while you're,
Ah,
looking at your planning, or because we look at inflation as being 5-6%, but like he rightly mentioned, if you look at medical inflation, for example, that's about 14-15%, or you look at education inflation, that's also much higher than the regular CPI, or the increase in goods and services or vegetables, etc., that we talk about, because your the value of your money becomes much lesser, the purchasing power, when you go ahead. So you might think that the 50 lakh house that you have right now, or that you want to buy in 8 years, will not remain 50 lakhs. So now you need a larger down payment, you need a larger loan, and then your EMI burden goes up. So that's one aspect. And I think, again, retirement, sometimes people don't like this word retirement, etc., but it's more in terms of owning your time, doing something that you're passionate about, because at some point of time you will stop earning that income that you're probably doing now, or maybe you have a choice. So while you have other goals, let's say 4 or 5 other goals, whether it's your, let's say, vacation, education, marriage expenses for your kids, all of that, this is another part that you have to keep in mind, because every sort of 5 years that you delay for your investing, or keeping that corpus for your retirement, you will not have enough. And what I read, about 50-60% of people in India worried that the funds won't be enough to help them during their years that they're retired. And earlier the life expectancy was lower, okay, and people were working for more time. Now it's reverse. I hear people say, I want to retire at 40, 45. And with medical advancement, you will live longer also, which is a good thing. But now if you live longer, you need money to survive. So you live longer, you want to work less. So therefore you have to plan. So I think that's also another aspect.
quite a paradox. Yeah, quite a paradox, I would say. Yeah. So, yes, and while on this, I mean, we can, as you said, people don't will not be having much in their corpus. I mean, it may not suffice and all. So that is where the compounding steps in. That is where starting early, importance of starting early steps in, I think. So from these discussions, I think so is that means that financial planning is a combination for a layman. I mean, how can we explain? Is it only insurance? Is it only saving, or is it estate, or is it a combination? I mean, Suresh, if you can sum your thoughts, and what exactly, when we tell financial planning to the layman, I mean, how should we position that?
I mean, lot of people who are in various sectors of the financial services, they position their products as a financial planning tool. Somebody who has a child planning kind of a product, child education planning, they are saying, do your financial planning through our product. And some other insurance company may say, do your retirement planning through our product. While I mean, to some extent, these are all components of planning. But when we talk about financial planning, we are really talking about the entire life cycle and all the requirements of that person, and including everything that comes in their life throughout, which is not only about money. It is about the fulfillment in life that they enjoy, which is probably you can say coming to some extent through money. So when we talk about financial planning, it is about meeting the goals. It is about ensuring that you have a proper retirement. It is about ensuring your children's education. So it is a whole lot of things that we need to do. So is estate planning part of this? Absolutely, estate planning is part of this. So we also have discussions with our clients regarding non-financial aspects of retirement. Is it part of financial planning? Of course, it is part of financial planning, because you may have all the money in the world, but if you don't know otherwise what to do, how to live a fulfilling life in the second innings of your life, again, it is not proper financial planning. So I will make the financial planning encompass a whole lot of areas, and actually put it like it is actually, I mean, like we call it financial life planning. So that is how I will put it. So we should not obsess too much only on the money aspect. Money is something that is going to help us fulfill our life aspirations, but life is not all about money. So this is a fundamental thing that we need to keep in mind. And all the things that we are doing is about earning that money and living a fulfilling, happy life. So all this actually is a very much a part of financial life planning.
True. I totally agree with you, Suresh, on those lines. And Ritesh, so is everything lost? I mean, if I have not taken these steps, if I have not thought over it, and now, like now, let's say I am in my mid-30s, so is everything lost for me? I mean, how can I catch up? How can people, what steps they can take, to come out of this predicament?
I think like something which Suresh mentioned earlier, like when you started off, let's say you're at least saving 10% and then you ramp it up. Even if you're not at that stage in the middle of your career, or let's say your life, you have to just do an assessment. And wherever you are, you have to first look at the basic hygiene, like he also mentioned, whether it is health insurance, whether it is having an emergency fund at this point of time. You've seen the kind of layoffs that have been happening all around. People need to have enough for at least their 6 9 months or 12 months of emergency funds. After that, they have to look at, do they have any debt? What kind of debt do they have? What's the high paying debt that they have, right? So there is a way to structure. Everything comes from income minus expenses, your savings. You take that number and you at least what you owe, you're over with that. And then you come up with a plan that even if you at the age of 30, if you're sort of doing like a 10,000 rupee SIP, let's say for 30 years, that also accumulates to 3.3 or 3.4 crore at, let's say, 12%, right? So then you are looking at 3 or 4 goals and prioritizing your goals. So I don't think all is lost. One thing definitely is there, that you must learn from your mistakes. So if by chance, like from example, 12, 14 years back, someone told me about futures and options and I got into it, and I lost a lot of money because I didn't know what I was getting into. Did not understand the risks. And you could use leverage and margin, and when you made money one day, so it's all gambling. And what I tell people is, if you want to learn all this, okay, take 2 3 4% of your capital, put it on the side, and then learn from it. Do what you have to. But like, for example, at some point of time when the crypto bubble had happened, etc., people, okay, maybe they even made money, but they didn't even know what they were doing. So learn from your mistakes. When someone calls and says, ULIP, like, overall, ULIPs generally give 5 to 6% IRR, 6%, 7%, not more than that. So why are you mixing insurance investment? Why would you do that when you can get a term insurance and then accommodate that with an SIP for your goal? So as long as you're learning and not making the similar mistakes, you can still, there is no right time. I think Warren Buffett also made a lot of money towards the end. In the beginning, he did not make a lot of money as far as I can remember, but he kept invested and kept going with the tide and staying invested. And that's when he also made a lot of money towards the end. So I think it's all is never lost, especially when you start getting some sort of knowledge.
Sure. So any thoughts from your side, Suresh, on this?
Yeah, so I mean, we have people coming. I mean, you are talking about mid-30s. Okay, we have people coming in at mid-40s and even in their 50s. So I am the first one to tell you that there will be huge limitation if a person comes at 50 or late 40s to us. Okay, there is only so much that we can do. If the person comes in the mid 30s, I think virtually nothing is lost. A lot of people who come in their mid 30s, they say that, oh, am I very late and things like that. Yeah, I mean, ideally speaking, if the world were what it should be, then people should start financial planning at 21. I mean, that is not how it is. A real life situation will be like, okay, I mean, you settle down, a lot of people will start a family. After that, maybe 35, 37, 38. That is when it will strike that, okay, fine, I have a family, I have a responsibility, I have various goals coming up, and now I need to plan. That is good enough in my opinion. If you come later, much later, the canvas that is before us and canvas that is before the client actually shrinks a lot. So there is only so much that we can do. So it is only a question of, okay, fine, which of these goals you want me to help you achieve. So it's like that. I mean, I have 25 goals. I know that it is not possible to achieve your 25 goals. I can help you to achieve 5 goals. So now you pick up which are those 5 goals. Had you come at let us say 35, most of the goals possibly we can accommodate. And if you come at 55 or 52 or something like that, and you tell me that I want to, what about my retirement? Your children hopefully are in retirement. I mean, I cannot think of any other answer. I mean, what else can one say? Or I mean, if you're a professional, you are probably through. Because if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're an architect, you can probably work beyond the 60s, into your 60s. So probably you'll be able to do well. But if you are a typical service class person who will superannuate at 58 or 60, it's going to be a challenging thing. So all is not lost. We will have to cut the coat according to the cloth. So that is of course there. So if somebody is coming in late, then they will have to understand that, and accordingly they will have to structure their finances and their expectations in the future. For example, suppose they had an aspiration of sending their children abroad for post graduation. Maybe if they come late and maybe if their finances are in shambles, probably that may not be possible, and they have to understand that and accept that. I mean, only then the other portions which they want to really achieve, including the retirement, will work. Otherwise, it's going to be challenging.
Right. So what I hear is that though everything is not lost and maybe the best day is to start today, okay, but as Suresh said, that there can be some limitations in, depending on the situations, the circumstances, the profile of an individual. So, Suresh, you and Ritesh both being a practicing fee-based advisor for so long now, I mean, I just wanted, some cues on how does this financial advisor help? I mean, what role do you guys play in guiding people and in helping them make informed financial decisions? I mean, can you just elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, Ritesh, you go first. I'll chime in later.
Okay, sure. So I think at one of the instances, Suresh did mention some of the aspects of what a financial advisor, planner would probably do. So I think it covers all aspects, starting from, your basic hygiene, whether it's your term health insurances, then in terms of your asset allocation, your goal planning, your retirement, your estate planning, your taxation. So there are 6, 8 sort of buckets which encompass, an entire financial plan. So not just that, there's another aspect which what I'm going to talk about. I think most people know that we have to do the goal planning, etc. But there is also a connect that you have with your financial advisor from an emotional standpoint as well, where a lot of times you need to be guided. As you read a lot of news, you get influenced, you need to understand that when to keep your investments continuing, when you should actually withdraw, when you should actually move from one asset to the other asset, how you should think about the larger goals. How do you review your goals? Are you over allocated to something? Are you under allocated? Is your return expectation okay or not? Do you need to revise your goal at a certain point of time, depending on your current situation, because it keeps changing? So it's not one Excel sheet or one Excel plan and that's it, and the person goes away and you call them after 5 years. That's not how it is. And which is why when you have a fitness coach, when you go to a doctor, you still, people want a lot of advice, a lot of times for free as well, but you need to invest that time to understand yourself as well. Look at taxation. So many times your CA will not know, if you don't give the appropriate information and you don't know a little bit of basics, you'll miss out on certain aspects of your filing your returns correctly, even though you may have a CA, but he can't do anything if you don't give the correct information. So I think those are some of the aspects, in my view, where financial, planner and advisor definitely plays a pivotal part.
I will add something to what Ritesh said. If you actually look at anybody's life, health and wealth are two very, very important aspects in a person's life. Okay, we tend to take health very seriously. We are flippant about our wealth. So that is typically how it is. So what happens as far as money is concerned? Yes, we start maybe working at 21, 22, 23, around that time. And I mean, most of us will work till the superannuation age, which is 58 or 60. So that is typically, so 35, 40 years of our prime time, of our prime time, we spend in earning money. But we don't really use that money appropriately. So if wealth is something for which we are willing to put on 35, 40 years, we have to take it seriously. And right in the beginning itself, we found that a lot of people are not really very keen on actually diving into finances and doing it themselves. So financial literacy itself is a problem. Forget about financial expertise. So financial literacy itself is a problem. So the broad aspect which we are talking about now, financial planning. So for most people, I mean, they can do it themselves. I mean, the basics we have already talked about. So if people want to do it themselves, they can do it themselves. But a financial advisor, I mean, as financial advisors, I'll tell you what we do when we engage with our clients. We tend to understand not only about the money aspects, we tend to understand the background aspects also. We have something called a history session, which we have along with our client to understand essentially where they are essentially coming from. What is their background? What are the, I mean, who are the people who have influenced them? What are the money lessons that they have learned? What are the money script that they have imbibed now? And what are they practicing today? And so on and so forth. And based on those things which they have learned, I mean, actually, a lot of times we find that they're acting out that in today's life. One of our clients had told me that the money script that he has learned in the family is that uh, if character is lost, everything is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. If money is lost, nothing is lost. This is what he learned. So, which means that he feels that money is not really a big deal at all. So that is what. So and it in some ways was showing up in the way he was acting today. So it's not only a question of the numbers and how many goals and what goals and okay when in the future it is going to come and which product we have to invest. So it is also this thing. The other point is what Ritesh said. Left to themselves, a lot of people tend to tend to behave very emotionally and tend to get swayed and carried away by what is happening in the environment. There is a lot of noise at any point in time. Okay, a lot of media hype is there around. For it may be about crypto, it may be about equity, it may be about real estate, it can be about anything. And a lot of people tend to get carried away. I mean, a carefully put together asset, a portfolio cannot fall prey to say maybe a fad which has now come in and which has gone center stage. Okay, so it's very important for somebody to lend sanity to that discussion. So we financial planners are those people who will lend sanity to the client when they are actually taking those decisions. So we are you can say in a sense, we are the decision support system for our clients. And over a period of time, we ensure that the goals are met. So this is what we promise as financial advisors. We are not promising that you will get a certain return. Whatever goals we have identified and we have accepted, both of us have accepted, we will ensure that that particular goal we will 100% meet. So that is the assurance that we give. Suppose out of your 5 goals, we say that 4 of them can be met. We give you that assurance that it can be met. I mean, there are going to be certain situations where we may have to slightly calibrate that, but more often than not, those things will be possible. So, and over a period of time, we give them counsel, we give them appropriate advice, we do the portfolio reviews. No plan which has been created at one point in time is good forever. So we need to also revise the plan. So it's a constant, continuous interaction engagement with the client, which we tend to do over a long period of time. We have clients who are now 17, 18 years with us on a continuous basis. So it's a lifelong exercise. It's like a family doctor. We
Correct.
are those kind of people playing that kind of a role.
Correct. Very true. Very true. I mean, once we form an association, that stays there forever. I mean, will do stay there for long. So the word which I got was flippant towards wealth. So which is just so very true. We are at times very careful and very particular about, of course, health and so many other things. But we do tend to, take the wealth which we have casually, or maybe not that seriously, or maybe tend to keep it backside for whatever reasons that may be. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that engaging conversation which we had, on this topic today. Time being a constraint, I would now like to take some questions which have come and through the chat box, and if I may, ask one by one. So we have a gentleman who says that I want to ask how to start investing while being a student and where to invest. So Ritesh, would you like to take this first one? I want to ask how to start investing while being a student and where to invest.
So okay, so as a student, okay, I mean, it's difficult. Firstly, like Suresh mentioned, you have to understand at least, how much you can save, even if it is 5 or 10% that, and when he says as a student, I'm assuming that he's not earning at this point of time. So again, now it becomes a way that, let's say he has maybe some money that is coming from his parents or wherever he has a lot, like some money. I'll tell you how I started. I firstly started with just doing recurring deposit because that's the only thing I understood. That I actually went to the post office and did post office, monthly deposits at that point of time, just to understand that when I put, even if it's 1,000 rupees, how that, what interest did I earn? How did it become more, by the end of the year? So that's how that person can actually understand the power of little bit of compounding. And it's okay to learn, like Suresh said, there's so much of information, what is mutual fund, what is all those things. But it's okay to just start even with a simple recurring deposit or a fixed deposit with the money, with the whatever money that that person has, and then go ahead from there and look at understanding what is a mutual fund, because you can actually start an SIP even with 100 rupees or 250 rupees, I think. So I think that's something that maybe I can think of, if I was the student at this point.
So what you are suggesting is that while it is important to start investing, it is equally important to start learning the tools and learning the concepts also.
Right.
Oh, thanks, Ritesh. And this one, Suresh, is for you. I mean, given the rapidly evolving digital economy, what key strategies do you recommend for effectively integrating financial literacy and digital literacy skills among youth? Given if I may repeat, I mean, given the rapidly evolving digital economy, what key strategies do you recommend for effectively integrating financial literacy and digital literacy?
I think, especially if you are talking about the youth, I think digital literacy is not a problem. I think, they are called digital natives these days.
Yeah.
So I think digital literacy is not a problem. Like I said, right in the beginning of our conversation, there is a wealth of information available for anybody who cares to look at it. I mean, it's all there, out there, in
And all free.
all kinds of formats, all kinds of format and all free.
All free, yes.
So it's not a problem at all. I mean, people will have to develop that inclination. People will have to develop that seriousness that finances are important. While, I mean, you can focus and concentrate on other more interesting aspects of your life. The more interesting aspects will happen only if you are financially well funded. So from that point of view, you need to care enough about your finances. I mean, spend half an hour, spend maybe a couple of hours per week. That is more than enough. And when you're in a conversation with friends and things like that, there are going to be people who are financially literate or who are interested in talking about that. Don't tune off. I mean, even if you don't tune off, you just tune into the conversation, you will tend to learn a lot of these things. And some of the things which we need to uh, incorporate are very, very basics. And we had covered that here itself. Basically, have a liquidity and contingency fund. I mean, don't take loans at the drop of the hat. Whatever goals you want to do, that first first accumulate that money and then spend on the goal. No problem at all. Take a medical insurance. Appropriately look at a security net. I mean, in terms of life insurance. look at evaluate your insurance requirements from time to time. Don't fall into the trap of making those I mean going after the fads and making those blunders which somebody else may foist on you. Those kind of things. So these are all very, very basics, and it's all available in plenty. So I mean, I will not really talk about digital economy. I think it is all there. I think these basics are very much available. We'll have to slightly pay attention to it. That's all.
Thank you, Suresh. Yeah, a parallel question to this, and Ritesh, I put this to you, is how we can make learning about money fun for kids who love the apps and games. How can we make learning about money fun for kids?
I think again, when it's in a gamified form, right, where it's you have scenarios or you have explanations in terms of, you know, when you have kids, right? So you get pocket money, you put it into a piggy bank, and you take out that money, or you know, every time you get some more money, you put more money, and you understand how that money is, you know, increasing. Also, you will realize that a lot of times, you know, as a kid, let's say you have 500 rupees, you put it in the piggy bank. Now, when your parent asks you, do you want to buy this? The kid will say yes. When the parent says, but from your piggy bank, the kid says no, 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 no. So the kid knows that now this is my money. So this is how they control or think about it. That now they know that this is for a better cause. Why will I buy this? So this is where the thinking comes into play in terms of priorities, that where should they spend or where they should not spend. And in terms of, even if it's a small goal, you'll get that piano or you'll get this thing. But if you keep putting it into the piggy bank, or you'll not just your friend wanted that, you know, another gadget or things like that, but you're sensible because now if you plan like this, you will get that. So that's how they also it becomes fun for them as well, because they get what they want in a manner. I mean, that's what I can think of. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's a good one. I mean, I mean, nobody would like to touch their own kitty, for sure. Okay. And I think we have one question bit we have already discussed. I mean, for teens who want to earn their own money, what are some smart ways they can start, even if it's just a little bit at a time? So I mean, yeah, we did discuss this at length. I mean, using SIP, and that is, but then that is all only, part of investment, what you were, or both of you were, emphasizing that this is only a part of an overall financial planning, this investment. But yes, definitely saving should begin, and save our money, whatever we have saved, in the good, proper, systematic way. So I think more or less we covered this. How does concepts like opportunity cost or opportunity lost fit in the financial literacy roadmap? How does a concept like opportunity cost or opportunity lost fit in the financial literacy roadmap? Any thoughts on this? Opportunity cost versus opportunity lost.
No, it is.
Suresh?
I think both of them are part of the same construct, right?
Yeah.
So suppose, for example, let me take an example. Suppose I have a stock, okay, and that stock has given me 5% return. I bought it at 100 rupees. Now it has, over a period of 4 years, it has come to 140 rupees. Okay. And vis-a-vis that, I find that something else, some other stock has given in 4 years 180 rupees. So I know that the opportunity lost for me was something like 40 rupees.
40 rupees.
Okay, so now what is the opportunity cost? So it is evaluating one versus the other. If I put something in this versus the other, which one will be better, or which one will be worse off? So that will be the opportunity cost, in a manner of speaking. So I don't know in what context the question was asked, but I'm talking about this question.
Yeah, basically, yes, yes. I do get what you are maybe trying to put across, is that if I invest here and if I get this much return, then probably if I had not invested in this sector, maybe in this asset class or whatever. So what is the opportunity cost versus what is the opportunity lost, is what the question was referring to. So those were some of the questions I think, when all calculators are available in the market and many other courses available with their apps, how CFP stands different in financial planning. Well, this is like Ritesh, would you
Yeah,
like to
I mean,
share
my
your
my
experience?
my simple answer will be that you have a lot of calculators, but you need to know how to use the calculators, how to interpret them. And a calculator can tell you that you'll get this much money, but the planner will tell you that, or sit with you, like Suresh mentioned rightly, to understand, what your goals, and even with the calculator, what assumptions do you need to make? How do you get there? And then go along with the journey. So, like I said in the beginning, in an Excel sheet, everything looks good, but when the market goes down, you have to call that planner, or you'll ask him, or not just down, market goes down, but your asset allocation changes. So I think the planner plays a key role. It's good to learn the calculator, definitely, but I understand that. But just one thing alone, unless you're that savvy and then you know everything and you know how to do that, then you're using the calculator, is different. Like he mentioned, do it yourself, but that's a low proportion in my view.
So virtually in every field, you have a wealth of information. So calculator is one kind of, you can say, tool which is available today. Virtually in every field, you have tools available. That does not make us an expert in that particular field, or that does not make us use those available information and become very, very, I mean, wealthy, healthy, or whatever in that particular area. Like if you look at the medical field also, you have a wealth of information there. But we still consult a nutritionist, we still go to a doctor, we still go to a gym trainer, and so on and so forth. So you require somebody to tell you what is that you need to do in your particular situation. So you need to know what you should draw. Or if I have to go to the example of cooking, I mean, ultimately for everything you require oil, you require flour, you require salt and things like that. In what proportion for what thing, that a person who is adept at cooking will know. So it's like that.
Yeah, end of the day, they are all they are only tools. I think, and the kind of discussions and plannings and concepts and theories and situations, what all is there. I mean, that is what the human intervention is all about, and that is where the ultimate financial planning, the plan comes up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ritesh and Suresh, for these engaging conversations. I think the audience would have loved hearing both of you. Get a lot of valuable inputs there in today's conversations. Sanya, would you like to take? You are mute. You are mute.
Why do I keep doing that? Okay. So I could completely relate with the insights shared today, being the youngest here. I mean, there were a lot of things I could actually relate to from my personal experiences as well. And with the growing youth population in the country and increased financial empowerment, lately it becomes even more important for individuals to understand, how to effectively manage their money. However, it's never too late to start learning and improving your financial literacy. So, and with that, we come to the end of today's enlightening session. On behalf of FPSB India, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists, Ritesh Sabharwal, Suresh Sadagopan, and Alok Kumar for sharing their invaluable insights with us. Before we conclude, I'd like to encourage all participants to register for the upcoming FPSB India Summit that we're having in Delhi on April 13th at the India Habitat Center. The registration link is provided in the chat, so be sure to secure your spot if you haven't already. And additionally, for CPD points, CFP professionals, this is for you. A recording of today's webinar will be uploaded on your LMS portal, and it will be featuring a special set of questions from the discussion, which you will have to answer via a small quiz that will fetch you the much needed CPD points. And the recording will also be available on our YouTube channel for your reference. So thank you once again for your active participation. We look forward to welcoming you to our future webinars, including the upcoming installment from our Pockets to Portfolio series. Stay tuned for more details. Until then, take care, stay informed, and keep investing in your financial future. Goodbye and see you soon.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.